desert stretched endlessly, shimmering under a cruel sun that burned everything it touched. The wind carried dust, oil, and the sound of engines straining against the heat. It was 1942, deep in North Africa, where two small machines met on the same battlefield. One was German, the Kübelwagen, a boxy vehicle of clean precision. The other was American, the Jeep, a squat, rugged creature built for chaos. Both were born from necessity, from war's demand for movement and survival. Yet what made them powerful wasn't just metal or mechanics. It was what they meant to the people who drove them. World War II turned the desert into a graveyard of steel. Tanks overheated, trucks sank in sand, and engines choked on dust. Soldiers learned that to fight in the desert, you had to move through it. The armies that could keep rolling, no matter the terrain, would survive. The Germans relied on their Kübelwagen. The Americans trusted their Jeep. In that endless sea of dust, it wasn't firepower that won battles. It was mobility. The Kübelwagen story began before the war. In the 1930s, Ferdinand Porsche, yes, that Porsche, helped Adolf Hitler create a people's car, a simple and affordable Volkswagen Beetle. When war broke out, that idea was repurposed. The German army needed a lightweight vehicle for soldiers, reliable, sturdy, and easy to fix. Porsche's team stripped down the Beetle, raised its chassis, and gave it an air-cooled engine that could handle desert heat or frozen snow. The result was the Kübelwagen, literally bucket car. It was practical, fuel efficient, and nearly indestructible. German soldiers came to trust it completely. The Kübelwagen reflected the mindset of its makers, disciplined, precise, and efficient. It did its job perfectly, nothing more, nothing less. But war rarely follows plans. The Kübelwagen's orderliness sometimes clashed with the chaos of real combat. It was brilliant engineering, but it couldn't always adapt when things went wrong. Across the Atlantic, the United States was preparing for war and facing the same problem. The Army needed a light, fast, all-terrain vehicle, something tough and cheap. Most car companies ignored the request. Only a small, struggling firm named American Bantam answered. In just 49 days, Bantam built a prototype that impressed everyone. But the company was too small to produce it in the numbers the Army needed. So Willys Overland and Ford took the design, improved it, and began mass production. The Willys MB and its Ford twin, the GPW, became known simply as the Jeep. No one's certain how the Jeep got its name. Some say it came from a comic strip character named Eugene the Jeep, a magical creature who could go anywhere. Others say it came from the letters GP, short for General Purpose. Whatever the truth, the name fit perfectly. The Jeep could go anywhere, do anything, and survive almost everything. The Jeep wasn't pretty. It looked like something a farmhand built out of spare parts, square, bare, and awkward. But once a soldier climbed in, it came alive. It could climb hills, splash through rivers, and push through mud. It carried officers, nurses, stretchers, radios, and guns. It could be repaired in the field with a wrench and a bit of wire. Soldiers loved it for its stubbornness. One of them said you could shoot it, drown it, flip it, and it'd still come back for more. The Jeep wasn't a vehicle. It was a partner. It became a piece of home on four wheels. When the Jeep and Kübelwagen finally met on the battlefield, it was like two philosophies colliding. The Kübelwagen was neat and methodical. The Jeep was raw and relentless. In the deserts of North Africa, Jeeps danced across sand dunes that trapped heavier vehicles. Their four-wheel drive made them nearly unstoppable. The Kübelwagen, though dependable, sometimes faltered in deep sand. Yet in Europe's colder climates, the Kübelwagen's air-cooled engine ran perfectly where others froze. Both machines earned respect from friend and foe alike. There are stories of German officers trading wine for captured jeeps just to drive one. Behind both vehicles were ordinary people. In America, factories in Detroit and Toledo ran day and night. Men and women who had never built cars before joined the assembly lines. Teenagers, mothers, and retired mechanics all worked together, shaping steel for soldiers they would never meet. Every Jeep carried their effort, their belief that what they built might save someone's life. In Germany, the Kübelwagen came from the same Volkswagen plant that once promised families prosperity. Now those same hands built machines for war. On both sides, people were doing the same thing, working, hoping, surviving. By the end of the war, one vehicle had become a symbol of freedom. When Allied troops liberated towns, it wasn't the tanks that drew cheers. It was the jeeps. Kids waved flags and ran beside them as soldiers tossed candy and gum. The sight of a dusty, dented jeep meant the nightmare was ending. Even General Dwight D. Eisenhower later said, "The jeep, the Dakota, and the landing craft were the three tools that won the war." The Kübelwagen disappeared quietly when peace returned. It evolved back into the Volkswagen Beetle, a car for families instead of soldiers. But the Jeep never went away. Veterans brought them home and drove them across fields and mountains. Farmers used them for work. Explorers used them for adventure. It became part of American life, a reminder of what grit and simplicity could accomplish. The same qualities that carried it through war made it perfect for peace. Looking back, the Jeep didn't win because it was more advanced. It won because of what it represented: freedom of movement and the power to adapt. The Kübelwagen was a masterpiece of logic. The Jeep was a masterpiece of improvisation. In war, plans crumble. What matters is who keeps moving when everything falls apart. The Jeep's design wasn't just practical. It was human. It could bend without breaking, survive without complaining, and get the job done no matter the conditions. That spirit gave it an edge that no blueprint could measure. Even now, when you see a Jeep crawling up a rocky trail or splashing through a river, you're looking at history in motion. Those flat fenders and round headlights aren't just style, they're memory. They carry echoes of laughter, fear, and determination from soldiers who once relied on it. The Kübelwagen remains an artifact of precision and discipline, a reminder of how order alone can't win chaos. The Jeep, on the other hand, became a symbol of resilience, freedom, and adaptability. When the war ended and the dust finally settled, it wasn't the biggest or most powerful machine that stood victorious. It was the one that kept moving. The Jeep proved that success in war and in life often belongs to those who refuse to stop. It showed that mobility isn't just about wheels or engines, it's about spirit. The Kübelwagen and Jeep were both born from the same idea, to give soldiers a way to move through the impossible. But only one became a legend that outlived the war. The Jeep carried the grit of its makers, the courage of its drivers, and the hope of everyone who watched it roll through the smoke toward freedom. It wasn't just a vehicle. It was a heartbeat on wheels, pounding across the world to remind us that no matter how rough the road, you can always keep going.